Buenos dias, amigos, amigas from the Lakeside area. And I want to talk a little bit about the towns in Lakeside and beyond. And they're all great towns anywhere you're going to find in this area of Lakeside and beyond. The towns outside of Lakeside, of the lake, you're going to find very, very nice, beautiful towns, great Mexican people. Visit as many as you can, but I want to talk a little bit about learning Spanish. Now, I am not fluent by any means. There are some fluent expats that do come down here that are fluent, but if you're anyone like me, I took a semester of introductory Spanish in college and did very well, and still have the workbook and the textbook, but I never used it when I walked out of the doors, only when I went home to study, but I never utilized it. I forgot it all, and I just did. I was too busy working, doing things like that, and I never followed through with learning more, and I forgot it. Subsequently, I forgot it, came to Mexico with a couple different people. They were fluent in Spanish. I came with them the first time I came to Mexico, to Cuernavaca, and then I came back for another 7 days to Cuernavaca. I was going to stay for 30 days, but I saw that there weren't, at least at that time, weren't a lot of English-speaking people. And I knew the necessity for me to learn some Spanish, but I went to San Miguel de Allende because there were a lot of expats there. And so when I went to San Miguel, I decided, I had the desire and I needed to learn more. I knew I needed to learn more, so I took 4 sessions at the Biblioteca in San Miguel de Allende. I'll be getting back to Lakeside in a second. And then went back to the States and then came back again, this time I was although I want to mention, I was in Oaxaca City for 5 days too. I forget to mention that. I like mentioning Oaxaca City. But I came to Lakeside area and realized I still needed to continue. So I came here 4 years ago and practiced with a lot of people. And you'll find out that there are towns like Ajijic, Chapala, Riberas del Pilar, San Antonio, and West Ajijic, where you won't really need to learn Spanish or take Spanish classes if you choose not to. It'll be pretty easy. You can get along, live there comfortably for an extended period of time, or as long as you want. But I want to say, going out to other towns, I started realizing, hey, I really like other towns as well. I love all the towns I just mentioned, but I love all the towns in Lakeside. And I love going there on the other side of the lake as well, the south side of Lake Chapala, as well as going outside of Chapala, towns there, and up to Tlaquepaque, Guadalajara, Zapopan. I've been a total of once, but I didn't shoot a YouTube video there. But I do always think that there is a possibility of going and living in another town, like maybe getting a rental, for instance, for an extended period of time. Now, I knew when I first got here, and I first started visiting the towns 4 years ago, and Tlaquepaque and Guadalajara, I relied a lot on Google Translate. 4 years ago, even 5.5 years ago. But as I started learning some Spanish, I didn't have to rely on it. I don't have to rely on it as much. And I'll tell you, it's great to use a Google Translate or whatever form of translation you may have. You can go and live in towns where little or no Spanish is spoken. I would say not really live, but I would say for a week, if you go to a hotel or something like that, or you're just walking around for a few days, that you can get by with the Google Translate or just learning a little bit of Spanish or knowing a little bit of Spanish. But I would say, I'm not discouraging people. I say go there and try to live there for 6 months if you want to. Go there and live for 6 months at a time and try it out for yourself. And you'll have a better understanding. But I would say learning some Spanish, taking some classes or finding a way to learn some Spanish would help. In Jocotepec, the other side of the lake, the south side of Lake Chapala, including all those towns there, and Mazamitla. Now, Chapala is a great place. You won't need to learn any Spanish either. Like I said, or have to take classes. Like I said, Chapala, Ribera del Pilar, San Antonio, Ajijic, and West Ajijic. It will be pretty easy. You'll pick it up. But I would say some towns or many of the towns outside of Chapala, it would be helpful to learn some Spanish. There is a beautiful town. It's Xlahuacan, really quiet, nice town. I'm finding out that expats are living there. I would say there. Visit it. You want to go get a rental or stay there, go ahead. But I would suggest getting some Spanish under one's belt. It's just a suggestion because there also in that town, there's very little, if any, Spanish being spoken. But go there, visit the place. I'm even thinking, I feel strong enough today in Spanish, although I'm not fluent. I feel comfortable enough to live and get an apartment there. I have been thinking about it. I have been thinking about Jocotepec. I have been thinking about the towns on the south side of Lake Chapala, going all the way up to Mazamitla. I've been thinking about those. I've been thinking about places like even San Nicolas de Abada. But San Nicolas de Abada, there are a lot of expats there, some, and you wouldn't have to learn Spanish to live there. You'll be able to get help from other people, and I think you could get by there. Now, if we're talking about Santa Cruz de Soledad, I've been there many times. I just discovered that town only about 6 months ago, or a little more than that. But I'm thinking, too, I'd feel comfortable living there. And I feel comfortable, and I don't find much English being spoken there at all. But I do feel very comfortable if I wanted to move to Santa Cruz de Soledad. Actually, Santa Cruz de Soledad is about a little bit less, I would say, almost 5 miles from Chapala, but San Nicolas de Abada is 5 miles from Chapala. So then, if I already mentioned Xlahuacan, I could imagine living in anywhere, any of these towns I mentioned, and even towns I haven't mentioned, but going up to, say, Tlaquepaque and Guadalajara and Zapopan. But first, I want to mention something I forgot to get into. I don't have an outline or someone to bounce this off of sitting with me, but learning Spanish is going to be of great help if you're traveling and living in towns where little or no Spanish is, cities too, where little or no Spanish is being spoken. And I'll give you an example. I'm fortunate that I learned some things, and of course, my levels increased, but I'll remember important things like when people are giving me directions, tell me which way to go. And I'll give you one example. And you can use this in taxis, going around Guadalajara and these other towns where little English is spoken. But I remember going on the subway system, the railway system, rather, going underneath the city of Guadalajara, and then it goes through. You can also go on the railway system above ground, but I remember the gentleman, I went and paid my toll there, my ticket, and he said, Izquierda. He told me to go Izquierda, and I already knew what he meant, and it means go to the left. So I went to the left. Now, if he would say derecho, I would go straight ahead. If he say derecha, that means go to the right. And those are good things to know. Not only if you're listening to someone telling you that, but if you're asking for directions, you'll know what to say. There's going to be some other things I learned that were really helpful to me in learning. And that's when you hear people talk or say something, or you're curious about how to say something in Spanish, just ask someone, ¿Cómo se dice? That means, how do you say that? Mexican residents will be really helpful with that. They're very easy to help, They're really good. They'll help you. You'll find out that Mexican residents will walk by you when you're having dinner, and they'll walk by you and smile and say, Bon provecho. And it means have a good meal, enjoy your meal. So that's good to know too. I remember the first time I heard that 5.5 years ago, I didn't know what he was saying. He was smiling, or a man or a couple that walk by. Even kids will welcome you and say, Bon provecho. And I didn't know what that meant at first, but I learned. There's so many things. Emergency situations. If you're at an airport and they're going to give you directions, it's good to know. If you want to ask directions, it's good to know. Communicating with the Mexican residents, it's good to know in your daily day. Of course, you might be shopping or going somewhere. Those are good things to know. Let's see. Tlaquepaque, Guadalajara, I've been to Zapopan, I've been to Tona. I have never uploaded any videos about Tona or from Tona because that was entirely a social situation that day. Now, I do go back to these towns, all the towns in Lakeside and beyond. I go back to them, but I go back to them even when not shooting YouTube videos because I love them so much and I love the people so much. They're great. Mexico is great. I want to also say, once again, don't have an outline, but I've been going to Tlaquepaque, Guadalajara on and off for 4 years, and I've noticed rental properties there. I've seen rental signs, although I never called or inquired about them or went and seen them. I have looked on the internet and saw there are some nice rentals in Tlaquepaque and Guadalajara, and very many neighborhoods. I've walked through them, drove through them, shopped there, did a lot of different things. Once again, you'll find culture all over the lakeside here, all over Mexico in these towns, a lot of culture and art, but museums too. But Guadalajara and Tlaquepaque, they have them. There's a lot of great museums in Guadalajara. I've been to art galleries as well. I was doing that stuff in Cuernavaca and San Miguel de Allende too, but there's a lot of great places in Guadalajara as well. And I think, I know I mentioned this before, sometimes I think, but I thought, well, maybe Guadalajara is a little bit too busy of a town. There's too much hustle and bustle, but no, I really believe and know that I could live there for an extended period of time. And all the other towns, all the towns I mentioned, each and every one of them, Tlaquepaque as well. I looked for rental information, Guadalajara too, and things like that, but never only went online to look at things, Jacotepec too, but also talked to Mexican residents and expats who know about these places. I love Guadalajara too, Tlaquepaque. I could imagine living there. I could. For an extended period of 6 months, same like, or more, or even longer, like Jacotepec, the other side of the lake, towns outside of Chapala, although I love Chapala and Ajijic and those towns too. But knowing some Spanish. Recently I went to an art exhibition in Guadalajara. I went shopping first, spent a good part of the afternoon shopping, looking for something I couldn't find it. I might have to go back. But after that, I went to an art exhibition in Guadalajara. Really enjoyed it. world-known artist, well-known throughout the world. I went to that exhibition, and then I stayed for a little while at night in Guadalajara. I've done that many times, and I drove back. I felt very comfortable driving back. I think I got back 11:15 at night. It was dark, but I knew how to get back. Really easy to get back to the Lakeside area. Came back, and I enjoy driving too, going all over Mexico when I can drive, where I can drive. But getting around here is pretty easy. Of course, there's railway systems. I just mentioned there's buses, things like that. But it helps to learn some Spanish. Now, is there anything else I want to say? Yes. And I'm going to maybe extend this a minute or two. Please bear with me. This is how Spanish has also helped me. I use many instances, but I'm going to give you one example being in Jacotepec. This will be it, and then I'll close this video. About 2 years ago, I was in a restaurant in Jacotepec, and I was sitting trying to plug my phone in to an outlet, and there was a Mexican couple in there, and I thought they were man and wife. And they called me over, and they said, come on over, sit with us, have coffee and dessert with them. And sure. And I sat down, and I realized they weren't a married couple. I talked about this in another video. They weren't married, but they were around the same age. They're a little bit younger than me. And the man, that was his sister, but he held a pretty good position in Guadalajara. He spoke English very well, but his sister, she was a little bit younger, she didn't speak any English, and she lives in Jacotepec. Has been living there for years. So what I want to say is we were all communicating, and she couldn't understand English. So I think 90% of the conversation went on for a complete hour, maybe a little more, and we were speaking 90% of the time in Spanish, and we were all participating in the conversation. So it'll help you. I'm telling you, you're going to learn and meet more people. I've cultivated through the practicing little by little and getting up to a certain point. I've cultivated many friendships and relationships with people here in Mexico and the Lakeside area and beyond. I know people in Guadalajara. Also, wow, what else do I always want to, I just want to keep mentioning things. But I'm going to say try to get some, there are a couple organizations here in the Lakeside area that do have Spanish classes, beginning and intermediate. But I know where they're at, and that they do have beginning and intermediate Spanish, but I don't want to mention them in this video because I don't want to make a mistake, because I don't know the days they are going now or their times, if they're still the same. So you will find places here you can learn Spanish. And so with that, I want to say thanks for viewing. And well, this has been a lengthy video. And with that, I got a little fly buzzing around here. I must have, but anyway, with that, tap on that notification bell. You'll be notified of upcoming videos. Thanks for viewing. Adios, amigos.